Welcome back, everybody, to the Roads We've Traveled podcast. My name is AJ Pelletier. Thank you again for tuning in, subscribing, all that great stuff. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, all that good stuff. Just another week. I'm a little tired, so just doing a lot lately. Besides work and everything like that, I been working on a paper. Because I'm going to be on an upcoming episode of Nightcap, a true crime podcast, with my friends over there. Definitely check out their podcast. It's amazing. But yeah, we're going to be, I'm not going to ruin it for you guys. You're just going to have to tune in whenever the episode airs. We haven't recorded it yet because I'm still working on the paper, but it's probably going to be a two-parter. But anyways, it's going to be a good one. Hope you guys tune in for that. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this podcast and check out all the great guests that I have, released already and have lined up for you guys. I'd appreciate it. And tell your friends and tell your family. We need more listeners. We need more subscribers. So please keep it going. I'd appreciate it. But let's get into today's guest. Today, we have my friend, Sam Stauff, from Wess Meets West and Port City Music and Mercy College. Sam and I go way back to middle school. We both attended St. Margaret's Catholic School, which is no longer around anymore. They closed their doors a few years ago. But yeah, we went to middle school together. You'll hear Sam and I talk about that a lot in this episode, reminiscing about stuff from the past and everything. He talks about how he's not even, his family's not even Catholic, and it was just, strange for him, but also kind of cool to go to school in an environment like that where you had to not only, schoolwork and stuff, but also attend mass and everything like that too. But talk a little bit about that. Talk about the pandemic and how him and his wife are doing. They're expecting their firstborn son. Probably by the time this episode airs, the baby will already have arrived. So early congrats to Sam and Mrs. Stauff on the birth of their child. So but yeah, we are we just reminisce a little bit about that. He talks a lot about how he got into music and everything, where he went to college, studying to become a producer and an engineer. Talks about how Wess Meets West formed. They actually been signed by a record label from England, which is really cool. Talks about shows and everything like that. It talks about working as a guitar tech and audio engineer for a while with Blue Oyster Cult, which is really cool. And he talks about actually recording with them because a few years back they came down and recorded, with Sam and his studio and everybody that works over there. So it was just a great episode. It was nice to pick his brain a little bit about some of the music stuff and everything and kind of compare notes because him and I both have a music background. He's a little bit more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am, which was nice to, learn and listen about. But it was just great catching up with Sam. It's been a long time since I've seen him. And we had a great time talking together. We even talked for a while off air, but let's just get right into it. Here is I can't talk tonight. Here is episode 30 of the Roads We've Traveled podcast with Mr. Sam Stauff. Welcome to the Roads We've Traveled podcast, episode 30. My name is AJ Pelletier. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing and telling your friends. I appreciate it. I got a great guest today, longtime friend and classmate from back in my middle school days, Mr. Sam Stauff of Wess Meets West. He's also an audio engineer and a teacher. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man. How are you?
Good, man. Good. It's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you since St. Margaret's.
Yeah. So middle school. What a time to be alive.
Oh my God, man!
You sat behind me. I think you sat right behind me, actually, in one class. I actually, how do I remember that? I don't know.
I don't know. I can't even remember that far back. And whenever I think about that far back, it's just so cringy sometimes to think about.
Like a little. You think you're so grown up, and then it's like, oh, this is like you're a child. You know what I mean? We had a good time though. I was only there for 3 years. Were you there just for middle school?
Yeah, just for middle school. I was there from 6th grade to 8th grade,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay, me too.
not like a lot of the others that were there from like pre-K or kindergarten all the way
We were
through
the
it.
new
So
kids. We were the new
right,
kids, and
right.
um, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I went to North End briefly and then transferred to St. Margaret's because I was like, yeah, North End's not for me. So
Okay. That's I do remember you being like a new student when I was already there.
right,
You just clarified that for me. That makes sense. But
right,
it might have
yeah,
been early, like 6th grade, so that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
was all right. I mean, we had some good teachers and whatever, and
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever send my kids to a Catholic school, if I ever have kids someday.
I'm
But
so I'm so glad I went to a Catholic school for that experience. I don't
mm,
know. I'm not Catholic, so I had to like
right,
sit. I like they like put us off to the side, which is like in retrospect, it's like kind of weird.
mm,
Especially now, it's like a little bit like, wow, maybe that was weird. But
yeah,
going to like, but learning so much about that, I think it's important to learn about that world, and
right,
so that was cool. It was
yeah,
good. I think the teachers were okay.
right.
Yeah,
I
I,
um
I didn't have a bad experience. What were you gonna say?
well, I grew up in the church. My we were always parishioners for St. Margaret's. And my grandparents donated a lot of money because my grandfather was actually a famous gynecologist in Waterbury,
Oh wow.
and yeah, he held the record for what was it, either 1,200 or 12,000 babies delivered in a year or something like that. Yeah, it was something crazy like that, and he's in like the Waterbury Hall of Fame and everything. But he
Cool.
donated a lot of money towards the church, and uh, what else? Yeah, my father was the lead in the church choir when I was growing up, and then my
So
sister and I got
that
in
was
youth.
your church. The
Right.
church. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't really too far off for me to, get transferred to go to school there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
That's
I don't
wild.
practice being a Catholic anymore. So,
Yeah, I don't know if you want to get on that rabbit hole, but
I mean, I've talked about it here and there, but I mean, I have my reasons. I don't hold it against anybody that's religious or practices being a Catholic or whatever. I mean, that's
uh,
all power to you. But if you're gonna have an argument with me and tell me I'm going to hell, then I'm gonna have words for you. But
luckily, I mean, I work on a lot of gospel music actually,
oh,
and
nice.
it's amazing. And I'll go to churches, and it's some of the most like powerful. It's amazing, but I didn't really have that growing up, so it's just a different. I can appreciate what it is and what it does. It's just
Right.
yeah. So I'm not anti religion.
Right. I'm not either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just yeah. I don't necessarily go to church every Sunday or whatever. But
I remember like I did talk about the fucking boy band shit that I used to do back in middle school and how cringeworthy that was for me to think
right.
about. But I do remember what was it, this trip we took to New York one year for a field trip, and I think your mom was our chaperone, and I remember getting off the boat when we were coming back from Liberty Island, and this guy was like trying to hustle me for a pair of sunglasses, and your mom came out of nowhere. It's like, get the fuck out of here, leave him alone. This and I'm just like, I love your mom.
Oh my god. That's if you were to take a snapshot, like that's exactly that's what she does.
That was
She's
so
crazy.
awesome.
I mean, I saw her yesterday. She's great.
How's she
Uh,
doing?
she's good. They live in New Hampshire now.
Oh,
They're good. They lived in overseas for a while in the military and
oh
everything.
wow.
Yeah, they had a pretty crazy like decade as well. Like if it was pretty wild. I mean, they lived in the Middle East and Germany, and I got to go there too and see them and everything. But yeah, she like doesn't take shit like that. From especially when it's like a grown adult taking advantage of like a kid.
Right.
You know, so it's like but that at the same time, like that person's just trying to make their living on the street too.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And
but
I'm just an impressionable kid. Like, yeah, those look cool, but I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money,
yeah,
Like,
I remember there was like fake watches and suitcases
right.
and stuff. That was wild. I don't remember that specifically being you, but I remember like that kind of moment.
Yeah.
And I was
It hit me the other day. I was like, when I was thinking about doing this interview with you, and I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. Like,
yeah, that's great. There's a lot of stories like that, but I love it. She's like, you're not gonna take crap from anybody. I love that.
exactly. Yeah.
She worked for the Red Cross for years, dealing with like disasters and hurricanes and even 9/11 and stuff like that. Like, so
Right.
it's pretty wild, like the stuff that she had to deal with.
It's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's a wild story though. That's very funny. Anybody that knows my mom is gonna love that story.
Well, if she's listening, I just want to say hello and hope you're doing well, and the rest of your family too. Your brother too. I hope he's doing well. I haven't seen him since middle
He's
school
good
either.
too, man. Yeah, he's down south now. He's doing his thing. Yep,
Cool.
he's
Very
doing his
cool.
thing.
So,
Yeah, we live very different lives.
yeah. I hear you.
But no, it's good. Everybody's good, man. We're lucky. I'm so lucky, honestly. It's everyone's healthy, you know.
Yeah, got to count your blessings, especially
Yeah.
during these times. You know what I mean? But since we're talking about the pandemic a little bit, how have you and your wife been holding up? And you're expecting on top of it your first child?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Soon, like a month from now. So
Get your rest now, because you're
I
gonna
know.
lose it.
I know. Well, I hope I'm gonna eat my words, I know, but I'm used to like a lot of long hours and so um hopefully I'll be ready. But it is what it is. Yeah, we're ready. I mean, we're ready now. I mean, I'm 33 now, so we're ready now to like take it on, and we're excited. We're really excited. So as opposed to like, you know, if I was 22 or so, I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Right.
But
I
the
don't.
pandemic, what were you gonna
I
say?
was gonna say I don't know what the protocols are where you live, but my supervisor and his wife had their first baby last July, I think,
Yeah,
and they had to quarantine in the hospital room for
yeah,
like a week
yeah.
after the baby was born before they could be released. So I don't
And-
know.
yeah, I haven't heard that. I do have to like stay there. I can't leave, which is,
Right.
and nobody can come visit, which is pretty wild. So yeah, we're just gonna do it. And I mean, we were actually always planning like this year, or you know, we were always planning for this time, and then the pandemic kind of hit anyways. So it was kind of unrelated. But I don't know. It didn't affect that too much, but it obviously affected like my day to day and everyone's day to day.
Right.
And Yeah, it's starting to get old now. It was okay. Like it was okay. You know, we were doing the online thing and doing remote sessions. I mean, I was supposed to go to Europe and play last August. We were supposed to play a festival in Europe. That got canceled.
Yeah.
You know, we were supposed to do a bit of traveling last year too. Everything got canceled. But you know, whatever. I'm really big on just being safe and keeping
Of
things.
course.
You know, I get tested almost every week just because I'm around a lot of people, like,
Right.
and just by choice. I've never either I had it really early on and just didn't know, or I just been lucky, and because I'm around a lot of people actually.
Mm.
um,
Yeah. Same.
yeah, I mean, like, you know, I wear, you know, we wear masks and
Hmm.
we social distance and everything, but it's hard. It's hard. Especially in the winter months, it's really hard.
Mm. Yeah.
Especially in music where you're kind of always on top of each other in music. I mean, as you know.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
sure like cleaning and disinfecting too has got to be a lot too, especially right now too. Like, how are you making that all work? You know, with bringing people in and stuff like that. I mean, like you're saying, like socially distance and everything like that too. But I mean, like there's got to be a level of difficulty to try to maintain a lot of social distance while still operating and
yeah.
recording at a studio.
So in March we shut down. Like last March we shut down, and we were officially shut down till like August. We were shut down. So I would come in to just like make sure that I'm the only staff person here, really. So for the obviously for the music department,
Right.
there's some other, and there's a lot of other teachers. There's a staff, but I'm the one that comes in and makes sure that these are running. And so yeah, there's a lot of just like cleanup. I'm kind of like very clean. I like to be very clean in general, you know.
Mm.
But so when I couldn't get in here, I would go to different studios and just mask up and social distance and bring the what's it called, the Lysol wipes. And
Right.
I mean, it's not so bad unless you're singing. Like
Yeah.
if you're using the microphone in front of you and then someone else wants to use it, like that's a problem. And
Right.
actually, it's kind of funny, like all these events you see on TV, like it's like people are sharing microphones, and you're like, okay, like you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I don't.
so we're big on like cleaning the pop filters, cleaning the
Right.
microphones. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's only so much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of it is just I mean, personal accountability. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people just canceled. Like I had a lot of people just. I was geared up to do a few different albums, and people just canceled. Some people still won't come to the studio. I'm doing a lot of remote stuff. Like people like will call me and ask me what to buy for home, and like so people are
Right.
sending me files, which is great. I mean, because I have a setup at home that I work out of a lot of the time, and I'll just send stuff back and forth. I mean, there's a guy I work with. We've done like a handful of songs. His name is Brooks of York, and I haven't seen him in person in over like a year and a half. But we're
Right.
putting out music constantly, just because we can send files back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I can relate in a way too, because like I have all Adobe Creative Cloud software on my computer, and I was it last year I think I had my old bass player from In the Red hit me up because he was just messing around working on a cover song, like a heavy metal version of a Lady Antebellum song, and
Yeah,
um
I saw
and
it on your website.
yeah, it came out really good. But he couldn't do the screaming that he wanted in the background, so he hit me up. He was like, "Hey, can I borrow you?" I'm like, "Dude, I got nothing going on. Absolutely." Like, so
Yeah,
I recorded the tracks and sent them to him, and
and
it
you
came out pretty good.
recorded at home.
I recorded the vocals myself at home, yeah,
Yeah.
and then I just sent.
What did you use to record?
I had nothing. I don't have a really good condenser mic, so I used my Yeti and
Yeah.
whatever I had, and then I just recorded in Adobe Audition and
No,
sent it over to him that way. So and then he just mixed everything himself because I'm terrible at mixing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you do the visual stuff. You don't want to see. I can't do anything visual like that. Anytime someone wants like CD covers or artwork or logo, I'm like, I'm not
yeah.
the person.
I appreciate that. I'm okay. Like I'm not as good as a lot of my other friends are,
Yeah.
but
Well,
like
I think that's the sign of like doing. As you get more and more professional at something, you realize like,
right.
oh, there's a reason why like these things are specialized, and like so, I may do one thing really well, and you may do a couple things really
Right.
well, and it's like,
I definitely watch a lot of other people too and like take inspiration and like learn how they do things too when it comes
yeah,
to like art. Like I'm a big fan of like Alex Ross, who's like a big time like realistic comic book painter and stuff. Like he actually makes his comic book characters look like real human beings, but
yeah,
like vintage. And I could appreciate that style of art
yeah.
and stuff like that. But I'm always learning from like other digital designers, like a friend of mine too, and he definitely got me into digital design and stuff like that. So whenever I had questions, I would hit him up because he was definitely like a mentor to me. So,
Yeah.
but
My guitarist in Wess Meets West, Nick Robinson, does all our artwork and everything.
mm,
He's actually like an amazing graphic designer as well, and so he does pretty much everything for us. And actually, most of my projects he'll do the artwork for, and even like logos, everything. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because he ruined my visual palette. Because like anytime there's a text on the screen now, I can totally tell what he's showed me like when it looks terrible and like what's a bad typeface, and he
right.
showed me like what's a good typeface and why it's good, and the spacing between the letters and the shadows and just everything about it. And it kind of blew my mind. I was showing my wife like an album cover, and I was like, "This is terrible," and she was like, "No, it looks fine." I was like, "No, you got to look at the font and this and
we were learning that a bit when I was studying at the Art Institute, but we were talking about fair before they closed. Like I still have trouble like deciding like which fonts are like better than what, but I might have to pick your guitarist's brain a little bit
I was
about
gonna
that because
say,
that's pretty interesting.
I think you and him would hit it off. I think it's like, and so but now like if I don't have a budget for some kind of like whatever artwork, and I try to do it myself, I literally cannot find any text that I like am happy with.
I'm always like online researching like different fonts and stuff too, and
Yeah, I
praying
didn't
to
even
God I
know
don't get a
like,
virus from it. Like,
yeah, I didn't even know there was like fonts you could buy. I mean, that's like, that's
mhm.
not my world, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's an amazing thing, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you and him would hit it off as artists for sure.
Cool, very cool. Well, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. But we're talking about growing up a little bit. We talked about going to school together and everything like that. But other than that, I mean, like, how was like growing up in your household? You're a non-identical twin with your brother Ken.
Yeah, yeah.
I forget. Do you have any other siblings, or is it just you
I have
two?
I have two older sisters. Yeah, that I mean technically half sisters, but I didn't even know that till I was like 12. Like it wasn't like hidden. It just was like they're
Right.
my blood. They're my blood. They're my like 100% sisters. And so I'm close to them. They're good. One lives in Michigan, one lives in Connecticut still. And so they're older. I'm the youngest, and yeah, I mean, I think like any childhood, there's like ups and downs, but for the most part, I had a really fabulous like upbringing, to be honest. I think you could always. I try to be very positive in general, just like we were talking about mental health a little bit too, and
Right.
um, but I'm sure I could go back and dwell on certain things, whatever, but generally positive, all positive. And I think my work ethic came from my parents, and like I didn't have summers off or like after school. It was like, you're going to work, like you're not going to watch TV.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to have video games, you know what I mean? And even still, like I'm terrible at video games. I've
Bro,
worked on some video games.
I have a Twitch channel and I play video games on the weekend part-time with some of my friends just to like kill time during this
Yeah.
pandemic. I'm still terrible at video games, but like a couple drinks in me, I'm pretty funny. But like
Yeah.
other than that, like
I had a upstairs neighbor once who was really into like Twitch and live
right.
streaming, and he was like, "Yo, you got to come on here because I'm telling you, I am so bad at video games." Like, he's like, people would just laugh at you, and I'm like, "That's fine." Especially always trying to make money. Like, if people will pay to watch me be terrible, I'll do it.
Right. I mean, like I just got my first Twitch paycheck not that long ago, so it was pretty cool. Like a year of work in, and
That's amazing.
just for a hobby on the weekends, just to pass time during the pandemic, and then I finally got a paycheck. I was like, yo, like okay, like.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really familiar that much with it, but I do have a few friends that are like killing it, and like they're making money, and it's like, I don't know. I guess it's similar to like Spotify or like just
Right.
ways to like make money with plays with your music or whatever. It's just other ways to like have outlet to make some money, and it's
it almost works like Patreon too. It's like you're donating money to a content creator to help support them because they're putting out great content that you enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/roads we've traveled. Subscribe today.
Anyway. Do it if you don't do it. No. But yeah, no, in general, I mean, it was good growing up. I mean, I was very active, like always doing something, whether it be organizations or school or I found music like in middle school, like when pretty much when, we met, like was when music started to like it's a therapeutic thing for me too. Like I'm pretty antsy and wired all the time, and so music.
I was gonna say, have you calmed down a little bit since middle school? Because you seem a lot calmer. you were definitely like full of energy and like like.
I think I was trying to be like the class clown and trying to be like.
I thought you were funny.
I was definitely like, part of it was like seeking attention, which is part of like being an entertainer as well, right? So I think there was that drive to like, you want to be in the spotlight, but I think as I've gotten older, more and more, it's just about like, it is about creating the art. And I think I don't know. Yeah. So I'm still, if you talk to my friends, yeah, I'll still get a little wild, but, but, I got a kid on the way. So it's
right.
I've had a lot of fun. I have no, nothing crazy, but had a lot of fun, but music actually really centers me, and I make a lot of ambient music, which is kind of, people like don't understand that because I'm so wired and crazy, and then I'll like make like a 45-minute ambient piece, and they're like, where did this come from?
I said the same thing when I first listened to your band. I was like, coming from a guy that was like you're saying, who was like the class clown back in middle school, he's writing this like really chill music that I can listen to and like just like unplug and unwind to, and I'm like, this is so weird, like, but it's great, like.
I mean, I grew up playing, Blink-182 is my favorite band. I mean, I played that stuff in middle school. Like, that's what we played, and I love that kind of stuff. And I'm actually getting back more into like vocal rock kind of heavy stuff. But yeah, the post-rock stuff came like in high school, like, and I was in bands with singers like for a long time, like in high school. The Morning After and My Holy Ghost were Connecticut bands. Maybe someone would have heard of them.
It sounds familiar because I was in the scene for a while.
Yeah, and so I was involved in vocal bands. I wasn't the singer, but I was involved with vocal bands. And then, when those bands stopped, college happened. I was at college and it was like, all right, well, I'm not really I wasn't confident as a singer. So, and you could tell me more because you're an actual singer, now I consider myself more of a singer because I've just practiced and learned, and I've learned some from amazing, like recording singers, and learning how to like work with them and get the best out of them.
Right.
Has shown me how to like properly, even just the way you stand and hold your body and where you move your throat.
Yeah.
I have friends that are opera singers. I have a lot of gospel singer friends. I also had to realize like I'm into like shouty vocals, not screaming so much like your stuff, but like like Me Without You, or like kind of shouty indie emo rock stuff,
Yeah.
kind of Divine, As Tall as Lions, Me Without You, Brand New kind of vocal style.
Right.
Well, I wanted to be able to do that shouty thing, and I realized I couldn't do it, and I would do that, and then I wouldn't be able to speak for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So then I realized I got to just sing softer, like more like the National, or like almost spoken word, and just be like, okay, I'll just do a little less and not
like Billie
destroy.
Eilish kind of stuff, like soft spoken,
I mean,
kind of like that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's a little, I would that would be a weird thing to be like, yeah, but I don't hate her, and
No, I don't either. I mean, it's not my kind of music, but I mean, like,
I've never heard a
that
full
kind of
record.
style where it's very soft spoken,
Yeah,
lyrically driven.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I got you.
It's weird. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I didn't mean to compare you to that, but I mean, like, just
No,
yeah.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's not a terrible comparison, from the simplicity. But I mean, I would never compare myself to her because she's doing her thing. Like, she's amazing.
I keep hearing ads for her and her new Apple thing, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was listening to a podcast at work, and she's got some movie coming out on Apple Plus or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway,
she has like a couple of the singles I really like, and her brother, her producer, is fire. Like he knows what he's doing. I mean, like, that's my world. Like, that's what I do all day. So like, I've watched videos on him. He knows what he's doing, and they've worked really hard at. Like, you can't, like, obviously they have whatever connections, whatever, but they've worked really hard to get
right.
So I mean, good for them. And
you're talking about vocalists and like learning from them. Like, definitely, I had to. I took lessons professionally for a few years. Like, after my sister and I were in youth choir together, like before I got into like heavier music, I was learning from the people in youth choir, and then once I got into my band in the Red was when I more took it seriously. So I was learning a lot of songs that I hated learning, like stuff that I would never sing in a million years, but like had to learn to like properly like pronunciate words and like move my lips and like keep them in certain I guess ways or whatever to like enunciate again. And then like learning to use my diaphragm instead of my throat, because you're saving your throat by using your diaphragm, learning breathing, again, standing like you were saying, and stuff like that too. Just differences with that. And I noticed like a major difference. And then I dated a girl for a year that was musically trained as well, like vocally and everything. And she would give me tips and tricks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's if you're a vocalist, that is your instrument. Like, you have to take care of it,
It's good. I mean, you're a front person. I'm like a pseudo front person for my stuff. And being a good front person, good singer is it's the hardest thing to do in a band, for sure. I mean, it's the easiest to like write off, but it's the hardest part, for sure.
Right. And I mean, I've said it on previous episodes too. We've had discussions with previous guests about like what it takes to be like a good front person, because it's not just your vocals. Like, you have to keep the audience engaged and entertained. I mean, like, I was constantly running back and forth on stage, pointing to people, making them feel special. Like, we had some cool little effects and stuff. We had like these light boxes that we made ourselves, where we'd stand on and the light would shine right up at you, which was a pretty cool stage effect. And
I think you're putting on a show, right? And so it's more than just the music, whether you want it to be or not. It has to be. It's more than the music,
Right.
So that's awesome that you guys did that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a good thing for a while. It's just it ended for me in 2015. I had to walk away, and
Yeah.
I've said it on previous episodes, but I'll just say it's just you work with guys for a number of years. You put in a lot of hard work. We had labels looking at us, and we basically got told that we had like a generic style sound, and uh,
Hmm.
two of the guys in my band were pushing their 50s, and nobody would sign us, and that kind of like put a damper on a lot of things, and tension started building, and I was like, let me just dip out before
Yeah.
I end up hating everybody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I mean, I've been in so many projects now, and I mean, there's some quote by somebody about rejection in the music industry, and it's like it's constant. It's constant, and it's destroys you. You know what I mean? It
yeah,
really hurts. It really hurts because you put in so much to it, and and if someone likes it, great. If someone doesn't like it, that's great too. Like,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, even I get, I do it. I try to like do a lot of sync stuff, or like syncing for advertising, or like film and TV stuff. And like I've done a little bit of that, but you'll get more often than not, you'll get a rejection, like email or not, and it's like, oh, sometimes what they'll say, you're like, oh, that's totally off balance, but that's what they think, and like whatever, that's fine, and it doesn't
Yeah.
work for everything. But yeah, the pushing the age thing is always an issue. I mean,
Mhm.
labels are an interesting thing.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to get signed at this point either, because I have a lot of friends who were signed, who were in the business for a number of years, and it's just a glorified bank loan basically, and you're
Yeah,
being told
yeah,
what to do from the label. This is what they expect out of you.
yeah,
You're much better off being independent and producing
yeah.
it
I
yourself.
mean, we're
So
we're we're on a label in England, and they're pretty good. They haven't. I don't think they told us anything to change anything
well,
musically
that's
at
good.
all. Yeah. Um, but yeah, there's definitely some positive and negatives. Things tend to take a little longer just because like there's a lot of moving pieces
Hmm.
with that. They've done a lot of great things for us that we would never be able to do, like
Right.
playing festivals over there, and even just like PR stuff.
Hmm.
And so they're good. They're good. I mean, but we got approached by other places too that were like terrible, like
Yeah.
like literally like we talked to lawyers about it and stuff, and they were like, "Do not do this because they're gonna just be terrible." And
Right.
so we found a home with Hassel for Wess Meets West, and they're cool. You know what I mean? It's cool. There's definitely like different positive and negative, but for the most part, it's cool.
Well, I'm glad that worked out for you, man.
Yeah, I
Like I
mean,
said.
like we haven't played. We played once in August, and then a live stream, and then I think we played last December. So like we're not terribly active right now.
Yeah.
We also live in 5 different states. There's 5 of us in 5 different states. Yeah. Yeah, it
How
just
do you make that work? Like,
yeah. Well, I think like you said with your band, it's like we all were in, for the most part, Connecticut and New York.
right.
Um, and so that was working fine. And we've been a band for over a decade, you know. So and then people just, jobs, life, families,
Hmm.
things happen, but we're so close, like the 5 of us are so close that we just like still want to make it work, so we
Right.
do. And we all most of us have the ability to record at home, so we send files back and forth. And we play shows, and we have not fill in, because I hate to call it fill in, but we have a drummer, like a local drummer that plays with us, because our drummer's in Maine. So that's, yeah, that's a problem, but he records from home, and then he'll do whatever shows he can.
Right.
But if he can't do it, we have a drummer in New York that'll help us out. And he's pretty much a member of the band too at this point.
Cool.
It's really like a collective more than it's just like a collective,
That's awesome, man. Like, I'm glad you guys can still make it work like that. And
I
over
mean,
a decade,
it's
that's amazing.
at the same time, like you may notice, like I have like lots of projects because like we can't necessarily move as fast as I want to work on music. So I have a project called Wide Waters with the keyboard player of Wes, and
Okay.
that's like a pretty big focus because him and I are like we live close.
Hmm.
So actually it's like an hour, but we still live fairly close. And so we'll work on stuff every week. We're doing a full length right now, and so that's becoming like a pretty busy thing. But it's fun to have all these different projects, and they all have slightly different musical goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
hear you.
Just are you still writing? Are you still singing?
So I was supposed to work on some new music last year, and then the pandemic hit, so I couldn't get together with the guys I wanted to work with, and then we took a break after season 1 of this podcast. This podcast started as a result of that, and plus I kind of wanted to do something different for a podcast because I was so used to doing pop culture stuff with my other music friends, with the League of Extraordinary Frontmen.
Yeah, I've seen that
And
one.
yeah, and and that we just rebooted that, but I mean, like, it was fun for a while, but I wanted to focus more on like mental health and just interviewing my friends that I've met over the years through music and art and whatever, and just getting to know them more on a personal level.
Yeah.
So that's why this podcast started. But yeah, we were supposed to work on some music over the break from December on, and it hasn't quite happened yet. Like, I'm still waiting on some stuff from the guys because I'm trying to learn guitar for the first time in my life. I mean, I used to play in high school, but like wasn't really good. So I've been trying to teach myself, during the year and everything like
Never
that.
too late. It's
Yeah,
never too late.
exactly. Yeah.
That's the beauty of music, you know.
Yeah. So, but that's definitely one of my goals, like before I turn 40, is to put out my own solo album of just music that I've been wanting to write for years, and like at least write one song musically myself on
Yeah.
guitar.
Would it
But
be
yeah,
are you thinking, is it like metal-y heavier stuff, or
it's just gonna be like a new metal kind of style. It's not gonna be all screaming or anything like that. Cause I mean, like, to be brutally honest, like I love like metalcore and stuff like that, but I just don't have that range in my vocals itself. I more enjoy the new metal where I can both sing and growl and scream at the same time. I could just switch it up here and there, but I just prefer the heavier stuff, and like I don't mind doing the acoustic stuff on the side too. So not a lot of
yeah.
people enjoy it, and but it is what it is. I like what I like, and I'm gonna put out what I like. So
I mean, that's the best part of music. It's like
Mhm.
just you. I think that if I had one rule in music, it's that, it's like, you just make sure you actually really like what you're doing,
Right,
because there's too many people that try to chase some kind of style, and like if you're chasing a style, you're already too late. Like you're
right,
already too late.
right. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of like how it was within the Red for a while. We were just like trying to be like a lot of other bands, I felt like, and
Okay.
then the collaboration together, I mean, it worked for a while, and then it just got to the point where it's just like, okay, here's a new song, write something. I'm like, okay. Next session, come in, and I have lyrics written. I've already worked them out, and my guitarist wrote lyrics, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like that a lot, and it was a little frustrating at times, but
Yeah.
we ended up going back and forth on a few songs. Like, okay, you write this one, I'll write this one, but I'm not going to be some singer for hire. Like, you got to let me do my thing too.
Right. Well, that, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's so in the dynamics. I mean, we could talk for days about the dynamics of bands, and what, who does what and what.
mhm.
But yeah, it just takes time, and that's part of the reason why, like, we live in 5 different states, but we keep it together, because when we get together, it's unwritten, like the understanding of what we do. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And I realize it even more, because like we're for the wide water stuff, we're like making sure we're playing with like local musicians for that, because we want to do a lot more, like a lot more.
Mm,
Um, and getting new people in, and getting that new energy can be difficult to like
mm.
figure out your place. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Um, but for the most part, it's going great. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's yeah, band dynamics. I mean, you could, yeah. I mean, and then there's just time and responsibilities and
Right,
jobs, and you
right.
know actually playing shows, and just financially, like, how do people afford to be a part of projects, and yeah, if they're not getting paid or whatever.
Right.
There's a whole a whole
Yeah,
financial
there's
side of music.
right, exactly. If any of my listeners don't understand any of that, I've talked about it several times on the show already. You can go back and listen, but there's a lot of, like Sam saying here, like a lot of dynamics and stuff that go into being in a band, making music, financially, like how much it's going to cost you between studio time and making merch, buying your merch, putting out albums, this, that, and the other. So it's not cheap. It's kind of an expensive hobby at times,
Well, and
but
what I tell people is too, is like each of your bands is a small business.
mhm,
It is a small business um, that you have to keep spreadsheets on finances,
yeah,
and what you're taking in, what you're putting out.
exactly.
and it gets like you end up spending so much more time like away from the music. Like, I wanted to just do music, and you're like,
Right.
oh, but again, I'm thankful to make it work. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So
I would never not do it.
yeah, exactly. And I'm thankful that I had a guy like Chris in my band because he took care of all the logistics and like,
Yeah,
band fund kind of stuff. Like we like at the beginning we would put money in, but then we got so self-efficient by within the next couple of years while establishing ourselves that no matter what show we played, we were making money at, and the money just went there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I
we
mean,
didn't really have to spend a lot of money.
that's you're winning if you're doing that. We was
Right.
just having that conversation the other day. It's like if it's paying for itself, and you can the band expenses are paying for itself. Like that's great. And eventually you'll take home stuff.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
We're talking about West Meets West here a little bit. How did that start?
Yeah, I just started in college. You know what I mean? I was in bands in Connecticut, and My Holy Ghost. We were busy. We were doing like a lot of stuff, um, and then we just kind of fell apart. And we're talking about doing some stuff now, maybe doing some stuff, but we're all very separate too, like living lives and different things. Um, but so West Meets West I was going to school for music production, so I had to
Were
make.
you attending Mercy or
Yeah,
what?
so I went here. It's a totally different place when I was here. I went here in '05, and we were in White Plains at the time. Now we're in Dobbs Ferry. So yeah, I went to school for this, and it just, you're supposed to be like recording bands and stuff. So like if you don't have someone to record, you should record yourself at least, right?
Right.
So it started like that. Um, I'm the only original person. I started it with two other dudes, really just me, and then I brought on these two other guys. My best friend Brian Gatshaw started it, and then we brought in Jesse Vengrove to play drums. And then, again, life happens, graduate, and then so I brought in my best friend Eric Alfizi to play bass, and then Nick and Andy and Justin. We've just been through a lot of. I'd have to like make the list. There's a lot of people that have been in the band. Maybe 10 plus. There's been a lot of different people.
Sounds like my old band. They've had
Yeah,
a lot of members over the years.
it was pseudo a solo project for a long time,
Hmm.
and it got to the point where everybody was contributing so much. Like around 2014, it became like this is not just me. This is everybody contributing financially, songwriting. Everybody's booking shows. Like everybody was really hands on. So the early years were much more driven by me, and then now it's a very equal say thing where there's the five of us that just decide what we're going to do, which can, if everybody has an equal say, can slow things down. But with these five dudes, it's great. It's a fun process, but it's a lot of work to keep going. It's a lot of work. We did our last album was 2018.
A Light Within the Fracture.
Yeah. And that was like we were really putting a lot into that, and I think it's amazing. I love it, but it like I don't really think it did as well as the one before it, to be honest. And also like that the newest album was on like a label, and it did great because of that, but it still just didn't like. I don't know. I'm still really proud of it, but
Is it doing? Did it do better overseas in England, more than here, or
if
is
you
it?
look at if you look at like our stats, like we have like hilarious like booms and like the Philippines is like the hilarious place where we had like a lot of plays. I'd have to look. I don't spend that much time like looking at like the stats. I probably should, but I'm really like not. I actually hate the music business, like the business side of it. I really like. I really hate it. And I always, you have to do it, but it's like
Right.
if I were better at it, I'd probably be in a better space, But
Gotcha.
like if we just met today, I'd be like I'm an audio engineer, like because like that's what I do day to day.
Right.
That's my day to day. I do make music, but like today I had a session this morning. I have a different session tonight, not my music at all, other people's music. But I'm always working on my music, but like it's so hard. It doesn't make as much money
Right.
as like producing for other people and stuff like that.
Right. No, I hear you. So, I mean, how did you land the job with Mercy after you graduated, and then you get to use the full studio and get to work with bands like Blue Oyster Cult, which I saw. I was like, holy crap, man!
Yeah, that was
Good on him, man.
yeah. Well, so I worked for them, just them for 4 years. I was a guitar tech and like monitor engineer. So
Oh,
like,
cool.
and I actually played the cowbell like on stage. It was hilarious. So,
They make that cowbell joke.
they don't no, they're like they're cool with it. They're cool with it. They're fine with it. But and so like that was an amazing opportunity to like I toured with them and I've been to almost every state.
That's awesome.
All over Europe, Greece. I've been to Turkey for other stuff actually, but yeah. So getting to travel and get paid to play, like to do guitar teching and monitors sometimes, like that was amazing. You know what I mean? That was amazing. And so I was part-time at Mercy. Actually, from before I graduated, there was a part-time position that I did here. Just it was what was the title? Facilities technician was the title. And so bottom line, I just like made sure everything was working.
Right.
But by the time as the years went by, like the studio manager had left actually, so there was nobody managing the studios. And we had moved and actually done reconstruction. So I ended up rewiring and taking apart the studio pretty much every year. And so I got to like really learn how studios work and build them. So that it just became just more and more responsibilities. And then I left with Blue Oyster Cult because I became full-time here in 2015. Yeah, around there. And then and then I did I did grad school in that time as well at SUNY Purchase. And then pretty much from like starting to do this, yeah, like you said, I would work out of here recording, or I would work out of my parents' house in Connecticut recording for a while. But most of my recording stuff is in New York. I did intern in Connecticut a little bit.
Oh, where'd you intern?
At Tarkin Studios for
Oh,
Peter.
okay.
I was only there for like I don't even maybe 2 months, like not very long, but
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite producers and he's amazing.
Are you familiar with Nick Belmore and
Of
Dexter's
course,
Lab?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first place I ever recorded was with him.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I've only recorded there once, and it was to do guest vocals on my friends from Crossing Rubicon's album, their
Nice.
latest album. I had to do a bunch of gang vocals in the
Yeah.
background.
Did you go to his new like his newer space, right?
I think it's the same place, but he just recently remodeled the whole place.
I don't think I've been to those new space. I think if I'm thinking of the right person, I was at his house. I was at like,
yeah.
house.
Yeah, he's not in a house. He's got
Yeah.
a nice setup now,
Yeah.
and
We
he's been working.
definitely we follow each other. He's awesome. Like I learned even just like the 2 days we recorded with him were like amazing. They were great. And that was my first time recording ever. So like that was a great experience.
I'd like to work with him. It's just, again, we're talking about finances here and everything like that, and everyone's struggling right now. But if I was to make like my dream album, I would love to work with him and
I think
just learn from him.
He would crush it. He would kill it. He's been doing it a long time. I mean,
he just worked on Dee Snider's latest album. They're working on a new one for Dee Snider. I mean, he works with Hatebreed, Killswitch Engage, and stuff like that. So
he's killing it. No, he's great. I should
Josta.
No, he's one that where I'm like, he's killing it. He's doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then so what we were talking about, I don't know.
I think we were talking about how you got into Mercy and becoming a teacher and everything like that. Yeah.
I mean, actually, my main job here is the staff position where I design and purchase everything and make sure everything's running. And you would think there wouldn't be much to do, but like I'm sure as like having your own businesses, really more or less. There's not a day that goes by. There's so much to do. I have people that work for me here. And it's just something every day. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy,
I hear you. I do a lot of this stuff myself too. And I wish I can hire an intern or assistant or something to help me out because this podcast takes up a lot of my free time. So,
it's just audio editing But no, it's great. It's an amazing opportunity. Like you said, I can use the facilities. I
Mhm.
don't have like free reign to use them whenever, but like I can do the projects I need to do. Um, and yeah, like Blue Oyster Cult did an album here last. We did it in last fall, 2019 fall.
Yeah, it
So
was it was fairly recent because I saw you share some photos or something not
yeah,
too long
so
ago.
we did all the basics here, and then they went home, and then COVID actually hit,
Hmm.
and they did they did all vocals and guitars and keyboards and all the overdubs they did themselves. But that was an amazing thing to be able to be here recording. We did two different long sessions, couple days. That was a lot of fun. That was amazing. And yeah, it was nice that they trusted us to do it. You know, it was me and Steve Lucera did that, and Richie Castellano, who's in the band, he produced the whole thing
Oh,
with
cool.
the band. So yeah,
That's
they're
awesome. That's awesome that they kept in, you guys kept in touch and they gave you an opportunity like that, and
yeah.
you crushed it. You
They're
know what I mean?
well,
Like,
yeah. I mean, I was, in my small way, I got to play a small part of it. You know,
right, but
there's a big
got to give yourself a little pat on the back, like, yeah, I did that.
yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
it's amazing. And so their tour manager and front of house person teaches here at Mercy.
Oh,
So he was actually my teacher, and he's my mentor, and I got to make the album with him, and that like what an amazing like thing to be able to like learn from this person and then grow enough to like make an album with him. And
right.
he actually, for good luck, he plays on all the West stuff. Like at least one, he has to play on one thing on like the West stuff or the Wide Water stuff. Actually, we're on Wednesday we're going to do drums for that. Um, so he keeps me connected with them a little bit with Blue Oyster Cult, and then because he's out with them every weekend, you know what I mean.
Right.
Well, non COVID times.
Yeah.
Um, so and that's when I worked for them as a tech. He was the one that hired me for that.
Gotcha. Very cool.
So it's all like really like connected and small. Like the music
Mm.
stuff, as you know, is a small field. You know.
Is there room to expand, or like, or if you had like another project or band that you'd want to work with, like who would you want to work with?
I mean, there's so many people I would love to work with. Anybody that takes their stuff seriously, you know. So I mean, I work with a lot of artists that nobody's heard of, and I work with artists that like Blue Oyster Cult that people know. You know, Darlene Love's a Grammy winner that we did a record. She was actually our first session in this new facilities back a couple of years ago when we built it. So she has and that's a gospel record. That's amazing. So I get to work on like metal, gospel, pop. Anybody that wants me involved in their stuff that I think that likes what I do. You know what I mean? Like if you
Mm.
don't like what I do, like don't come work with me. You know, just because there's so many people that are great at this stuff. That why would you, if you want like a Billie Eilish thing, like work with somebody that does
Right.
that. If like honestly, like I don't record metal, so like Nick, if a metal band came to me, I'd be like, go to Nick Belmore, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I've done a few metal things, but I think it's important to find like what you're good at.
Right.
You know?
And also to like be able to take constructive criticism from producers and audio engineers like you that have been in the business for years, and if something doesn't sound right, like being able to accept like a little bit of criticism or whatever and say, hey, why don't you try it like this or
Yeah,
whatever, you know what I mean? So
I feel like I get in trouble sometimes because I really try to make whatever the client wants. Like I want them to be happy, and like even
right.
if they're wrong, it's like, well, it's their record. Like I want them to be happy, and
Right.
then I've done that so much where there's been times where I've seen them go somewhere else, and then somebody like takes over their record and changes it so much, but it sounds great.
Mhm.
But I'm like, well, did they want? I don't know if they wanted that, So I'm really big on like whatever the band or artist wants to do, like I want to do that. And so like if they whatever they want to do, I want to try to make happen. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I'm one of those guys where it's like I may not be able to hit the note correctly every single time, like, you know what I mean, or I might be getting lost in the transition or just nailing it or whatever, and like I don't mind getting a little bit of criticism and being told that do it again, you know what I mean, or try it like this, you know what I mean, because it helps me improve but more and learn more. But again, like you're saying, not a lot of people can take that kind of stuff or anything like that, or open to it and stuff, and it just makes it
Yeah.
harder
I
sometimes.
think they actually the people you work with that have been doing this longer, or even like the really big time people, are usually the ones that are like totally chill
Hmm.
and like take criticism. I mean, I've been yelled at. I've been yelled at on stage. I've been yelled at in the studio. Not so much recently, but like I have some horror stories that like, we'll just go past. But like that forms you into who you are, and how
Right.
you gotta be quick, and you gotta be able to like little things that you have to just learn. I'm sure every audio engineer and anyone that's in a band has been yelled at to get off stage or whatever, or like,
Hmm.
fix the monitor mix, or
Or almost got into a fight with a singer that used to be big in the 90s.
yeah. I mean,
Legit, like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll have to tell me about that later.
I've said
Okay,
it on air. I don't mind.
okay,
I almost got into a fist fight with Travis Makes from Days of the New.
that's funny. Yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of that stuff. A lot of that just I forget about that stuff. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But that's funny though.
Yeah, I've met a lot of great people and a lot of great musicians, and have learned a
Yeah,
lot, and who are so humble and outgoing and thankful and stuff like that for the amount of time, shows that I've opened for Grammy Award winners. I've played with a lot of these guys, and it was just that one time, I had that one bad experience, and it was
yeah,
already a rough day to begin with, and
yeah,
then he just made it worse, and my drummer had to hold me back because the guy was being such a big dick, and I was just like,
wow,
all right, whatever, like.
yeah. It'll happen. It'll happen. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I can think of, yeah. There's a couple of those things, but for the
Yeah,
most,
you don't have to tell him, it's fine.
yeah, I try not to like.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of it's all positive, but yeah, some of that stuff
Yeah.
happens. And honestly, though, most of it's just because like everybody's on no sleep, and
Hmm.
you're trying to get a job done. You're trying to be the most professional you can be,
Right.
and sometimes like tempers flare up, but like for the
Mhm.
most part, it's great. And I will say, just to like, music. The best people I know in the world are people I've met that do this,
Mhm.
and people that maybe I'll not talk to for 5 years, but then I'll link up with them again, and it's like, you don't miss a day just because we all, if you do this long enough, you kind of like speak that language, and it's
Right.
it's a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, it's all good stuff.
Oh man, we basically just like pretty much went through everything already.
Cool, man.
This
Yeah,
is just a great conversation, man.
yeah.
Why don't we talk a little bit about your latest album? Like you said, it came out in 2018, A Light Within the Fracture. What was the recording process like for that? And I know you said it didn't really do too well.
Yeah, it did. I think it did. I think it did fine. Actually, I mean, I don't know. I think it did fine.
Mm,
I don't really know. I mean, if you want songs to have millions of plays, right?
right.
And we had one song that did really well, that has some millions of plays on our album before that. So none of the songs beat that. So
Mhm.
I still think it did fine. I think it did well. Um,
Were there any differences between the recording process for that album to like previous albums? Was like the experience better or worse, or
yeah.
you know?
Well, they're all very different because we pretty much do it all ourselves,
Right.
for the most part. So that Light Within the Fracture was the first album we did in the new studio here.
Hmm.
So the ones before that, we were in different locations. So
Gotcha.
like it was a bigger room. I think the biggest thing is you just get better at it. You just get better at this. So I think the songs are better, and I think that it sounds way better. Excuse me, just from the getting, like, you get better at this every day. Like every 6 months, you're like, I can't believe I did that 6 months ago. Like I
Right.
can't believe I used that compressor on the kick drum when I should have been using that one. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So, and everybody was really like just focused on making that like a good record. So I think it's our best record. I think it's a little long. In retrospect, I might want to take a song off or two. But I wouldn't change much about it. And me and the drummer Andy Porta, Andy's Andy and Justin Krass now, but Andy at that time was like my main partner in making like production decisions, recording decisions. He's an amazing engineer and as well. So we kind of co-mixed it. We did co-mix it. And so we would send files back and forth, and then we finished it in here together, just to like literally every little movement of guitar, panning and whatever, drum EQ. Like we did a lot to try to make it as good as we could, and we're happy with it. And that's when you say how did it do? It's like, well, we were happy with it, so
Right.
I don't know what else other than that.
That's still pretty cool though. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I've made so many. That record feels really old to me now because I've made so many records between
right.
that it feels pretty old actually.
Right.
So
Sorry, I got some background noise.
I didn't
No, it's my neighbors are kind of pricks. They have loud cars, and I work nights, and they like waking me up in the morning with their loud cars.
What kind of bass is that right there?
No, it's my acoustic guitar.
It looks like a bass.
Fender. Yeah.
Oh, nice. It looked like the angle looked like a bass.
Yeah. No, I don't own a bass guitar, but yeah, no, that was my Christmas gift to myself last year. I bought a Fender acoustic electric guitar, so
nice.
Just to get back into it.
Yeah, acoustic is a great way to start. I don't play acoustic, but it's a great way to start.
You said you did a lot of other like audio work you were saying like video games and stuff. Like what other kind of projects did you work on besides like bands and stuff? Like did you do any like sound design or like anything kind of like that?
Well, I mean, like you said, that's why, like, if I could just work with bands, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
I did the Olympics. I did the Rio Olympics, mixing the basketball games.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I also did the Special Olympics, they're unrelated actually, but they're, other than the word Olympics, they were totally unrelated. So those are obviously like, they're not hiring you for your creative aspect. They're hiring you because you know how to use a tool, right?
Right.
So those I've mixed. I did some soundtracks for some video game stuff. And I've been hired by some friends to like do work for hire, like helping with theme songs for like Netflix shows and like some video game. Honestly, I'd have to look at the video games on like my website to see like what they were. And it's been a few years too for that. But I've done like audio restoration for a court case. Like somebody called me to like just clean up some audio. That was a while ago, but that was kind of funny. So like pretty much anything, like if I could do it, I'll try to say yes. But I'm trying to get better about like what I can and can't do. I did a whole museum like tour, like a book on tape for a museum over the summer.
Oh,
that, you know what I mean? So it's like truthfully, anything that'll pay. I've done podcast editing, I've done books on tape. But if I had my way, I would just record bands and produce bands all day, or artists.
very cool.
Yeah, so it's good. It's fun. Just it's hard to, it's a lot to make a living. So you got to just do everything. It's a hustle.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It really is a hustle, and like to just do a lot of stuff on your own these days. Like me, for instance, too. I work 2 jobs. I work full time and a part-time job, and on the weekends it's podcasting, editing, working on side stuff for clients, whether it's artwork or video work. Finding time to Twitch stream to make some extra money too. Which kind of keeps me grounded and keeps my sanity. Cause I mean, like I said, we're all isolated. We've been for about a year now, and not being able to really see my family much or my friends much, it does take its toll on you, especially like I live alone. You know what I mean? I have a nice little apartment to myself. I just have a cat, but I don't get to see or talk to a lot of people. But this podcast helps getting to, talk to people, like, catching up with friends like you I haven't seen in years and stuff. It definitely helps keep me grounded. So I don't know where I was going with this, but
I think it's like just anybody that works, and I think you were saying like just anybody that works in the arts and entertainment, it's just you're juggling so much at all times, and I think people assume like you do one thing, they just assume like, oh, you just do this and that's it. But it's like it's so much on your plate, like you said. And but I think at least for me, I like to be busy. I don't know if you like to be busy.
I like to be busy, but I won't say no to a night off. You know what I mean? Like if I have the time, you know what I mean, where I can actually just kick back and just relax, because my mental health would be like through the roof. You know what I mean? Where I need to like take a breather or whatever. I won't say no, but yeah, I like staying busy. Like you, like I was taught really good work ethics as a child, and I find that if I'm not doing anything creatively, I feel like I'm either wasting my time and my depression kicks in, and I feel like what am I doing with my life? So
Totally, totally. Yeah, I mean, that's yes, I feel the same way. You know, as far as keeping busy, just to be productive and do something. It's like I don't want to. I mean, I obviously watch movies and TV and stuff, but it's like I don't want to like just
right.
absorb. I want to be doing some kind of creative outlet. And if people like it, great. But if not, it's like, well, I did it for myself too.
Exactly. I've been doing a lot of hiking too, like last summer too. It was another great thing that I fell in love with, that I was losing a couple pounds doing,
Yeah.
and just getting outside and breathing fresh air, even though it's toxic and full of COVID right now. But I mean, like,
Well, I try to get outside every day a little bit, even in the winter,
Mhm.
like a little bit. And if I don't, like you said, my mental just whatever just doesn't do well. And so yeah, getting outside and hiking, I try to do that. I try to bike. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot.
We were talking off air about like how my school closed and everything like that. Like right after that all happened, before things got progressively worse down the road for about a year. Um, I literally took my tax return, I packed up, and I went to the Cape for a long week. I was just like,
That's awesome.
I need to unplug. I need to go away for a while. I went to the Cape with a friend. I just sat on the beach for a couple days, just listened to the ocean. Like it was like right before their busy season too. So like I got in when it was still a little chilly, but like I
Yeah.
just sat on the beach. I had a couple drinks. I smoked a little weed. But like
Yeah. Listen, you got to I think that you got to do that too. I mean,
Mhm.
we do that. We go away in the summer, like we go to Vermont, we go to
There you
different
go.
places, like you gotta do that too. You gotta because
You got to recharge.
yeah, because I have hit that point. It was about 2000 like 13, 14, 15 where I was just hitting a wall of being so busy, and I found I was so just like not happy and like kind of just mean to people. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So now it's like I'm gonna try to breathe a little bit more, do a little
right.
less, and not say yes to everything. But you don't have to do everything. You don't have
Yeah.
to. You know what I mean?
Saying no is a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely hard, especially in COVID, where you're like,
Right.
shit.
I need the money. Yeah.
Yeah, I need the money. Do I even have a job? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
I have so many friends that work in live sound that are just still not working. It's so
So
scary.
terrible. Oh
It's
my
so
God.
scary, man.
I can't. I feel for them so much, man. Like in venues and like
Especially because it was
bar.
like live sound was like it was like sorry to interrupt. The live
No, no,
sound was
no.
like, for me, like I'm in the studio, but like if I left the studio tomorrow, I know it's like all right, I can go get a job at a venue or
Mhm.
tour, touring with a band, and it's like so many people made a living doing that, and
Right.
now they're home, and it's I mean again I totally understand why we have
Mhm.
to be, but it's just like
I had a friend, like you were talking about live, events and everything like that, people working in it. One of my friends from a band called Fear the Masses, he plays bass for them. That was his job. Like he would work at the casinos, setting up sound and teching and all that
took
other
a hit,
stuff. And then,
took a
and
big
yeah,
hit.
he took a serious hit. And I think he's doing a lot of carpentry work now and construction to like make ends meet, which is good. But there was a while where he was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this.
Yeah. No, and it's so hard. Forget about saving. For our
Hmm.
generation, I feel like it's so hard to just save money in general. But
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, yeah. I mean, hopefully I think once it bounces back, it's gonna be busy, but it could be next year. It could
Yeah.
be next year still. I have no, and it's only February.
Right. I have
Yeah.
tickets. I have tickets for a show this summer that was postponed from last year, and I just made the decision to like just sell them because I'm not in a rush to get back to like big capacity concerts yet. I mean, even if I get vaccinated, which I plan on it as soon as it becomes available, but I mean like I don't know if I'm comfortable yet being around that many people just yet.
And I think most people are gonna feel that way. You
Mm.
know, I can get the vaccine. I can't get an appointment. I can't get. I have the letter to get one because I teach. I can't
That's
get.
so crazy.
Can't,
Like
every day I try to check on the link. Cannot get an appointment. It's crazy.
I'm an essential worker too, but like we haven't heard anything. I have friends that work in manufacturing as well that have gotten theirs already, and I'm like, well, how did you get it? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
work in the same field, and I can't
yeah,
get it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so
I
I'm
mean,
at
I
the
guess,
point where I'm like, okay, I guess the end of April or something, maybe.
yeah.
You know?
I hope that too. I didn't think it was gonna. I got a little cocky. I didn't think it was gonna be that hard, and then I started. I was like, oh, this is gonna be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
If I started right away when I got my letter, I probably would have been okay.
Mm.
But I got a little lazy with it.
Got to be like one of those vaccine hunters now. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah,
scope out all the places where they're just about to expire and just like get right in at the right time. You know?
yeah. I don't know. You're in Naugatuck? Where are you? Are you in?
I live in Naugatuck. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And yeah, I've been here for years actually. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother just got her vaccine. I just talked to her last night. She finally got her first dose. She goes back in a couple weeks to get the second one. So,
Yeah.
but she's doing all right. So
That's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, let's wind this down. We could talk a little bit off air too if
Yeah, yeah.
you got
Whatever.
time. But where can people find you and your music? You know, if people want to work with you and stuff like that.
Yeah. So just samstauff.com or portcityrecording.com. They lead to the same place. So Port City was what I called my company when I had other people working with me. It's really just me now. So the name kind of just was a bystander to that, but it's really just my name. Wess Meets West is kind of my main band, but it's a little bit slower right now. So Wide Waters is becoming a really important project for me. We've done three EPs, and we're doing a full length all in less than like a year and a half. So we've been
Holy
working a
crap!
lot. Yeah, we've been doing a lot, and we're doing more with like sync stuff. We're doing a lot with that. We just the my friend Justin Crass, he's the keyboard player for Wes. We just make music. It's just constantly, you know what I mean? So it's he's great. And then Eager Sales is like my solo stuff, which is like vocal. Actually, I sing on all that stuff. So that, and I have an EP coming out in March for that. So, and then I run the studios at Mercy College. So if you want to go to school for this stuff, you'll see me here, and teaching here. So there you go. Mercy College it's in Westchester, New York. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna do a couple plugs myself, and then like I said,
Sure.
we'll just talk off air a little bit. So
Yeah.
sound good? All right.
Cool.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to get notified every time we drop a new video. Leave a comment. I'd be happy to read it. Hopefully positive comments. If you're listening on audio, hello, how are you? Hit that follow button, that subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple or Google Podcasts, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and a review. I'd be happy to read it on the show. You can follow the show at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast or on Instagram and Twitter at RWTPod. You can email us at roadswe'vetraveledpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Roads We've Traveled. This stuff costs money, people. I do it out of love, but yes, it comes out of my own pocket. If you want to become a Patreon member today, I would appreciate it. You can get exclusive content like episodes early. Since the show went from weekly to bi-weekly because of my crazy ass schedule, you can check out the episodes a week early before they drop. Bonus content like AMAs and everything like that, and more to come. Patreon.com/Roads We've Traveled. Yeah, you can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. If you want to follow and give me a subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Or you can check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. All right, Sam, this was amazing, man. Thank you so much for taking time and chatting with me today. It was great catching up with you. And please give your family my best. And good luck on being, a new dad, man.
Yeah, thank you. And let me just say, you're doing amazing stuff with this, man. This is a lot of fun. You're doing
Thank
great
you.
stuff, and just just fun, just catching up. I didn't even really realize like we're recording, so it's just catching up. You know what I mean? So it's really nice to do
That's the
that.
feeling I like to do for my shows,
Yeah,
man.
no. So you're great to talk to, and it's so great to see people grow up with just killing it and doing great things. So
Thanks, man.
you're doing it, man.
Thanks,
I
man. I
love it.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.